Elevate yourself. Empower others. Welcome to Coach Approach Podcast. Today I'm with Gianluca Ferremi, CEO of WisePath, a platform that measures and trains human skills using mainstream video games. In a world where AI is absorbing technical tasks, Gianluca has a bold take. Soft skills aren't soft anymore, they are the differentiator. And he has an even bolder claim. Video games can become the digital gym where people train those skills safely. So let's get into it. Most hiring and training systems measures what's easy, CVs, degrees, hard skills. But what decides success is often behavior under pressure. Collaboration, adaptability, communication. So Gianluca, can you give me a short story? What problem made you start WisePath and why games?
Okay, good morning, Marco, and thank you very much for having me on your podcast. I really appreciate this opportunity. Yes, it's what you said in the intro is perfect. Soft skills are not soft anymore, or maybe they're still soft, but are becoming very important. What started our adventure on this part is actually a couple of personal experiences that were me and my co-founder, Adrian, which lives in the United States, we experienced. My personal my personal experience has been that I had to reinvent myself a few times, and every time I found myself that I have to reinvent myself, um, I realized that what really was important at the time were the soft skills, not that much the hard skills. You know, I can learn a new job, but what job should I learn, and how do I present myself to fit into a new environment, into a new opportunity, into a new vertical market? These were not technical skills. Nobody was teaching these kind of skills. On the other side, my co-founder had an experience with one of the daughter he had, that basically took 6 years for her to find her career. And she went through many different, totally unrelated fields of study, looking for something that she liked. And one thing that we realized is that she managed to find, after 6 years, her career path, because the father acted as a mentor. So what we realized is that technical skill weren't anymore the real differentiator. They, of course, are the tools that I use in order to technically do my job, and are definitely important because they is the tools I use to actually do the things I want to do. But the skills that were more important in order to for people to find their realization, fulfill their own desire, professionally speaking, were the soft skills. And that's why we invented WisePath. And we try to create an online way that could scale to millions of people, to bring the experience that me and my co-founder cultivated over many years of work. We decided to find a way to give all these assets to young people that are entering into the job market or that are finishing their school career.
Can
Now,
you tell me? Oh,
please. No, no, go ahead.
I'm interested. What did you see in the market? What others missed in that moment?
Well, it's not a question like I wouldn't say it's something missing because even when we started in let's say we started thinking about this in 2020, a lot of
Mhm.
people, a lot of companies knew that soft skills were important. What was actually missing from the market was a way that would be able to scale to the entire workforce. Meaning, a lot of companies are doing coaching in order to train leadership skills and soft skills in general for their executive teams. But with the advent of AI and with the change in the job market that are happening after 2020, especially with remote working and all the rest, you had that need for the entire workforce, not just for a small team. And so, how can you coach in the traditional way, 1,000 employees? You just can't. It's financially undoable and very difficult to scale easily. It would take you a long time. And that was the thing that was missing from the market. It was missing mostly because research didn't find a way yet on how to measure soft skill and train soft skill in a way that would allow the person to do that autonomously, without the use of a coach as the only way to train these skills. And that's where video games came into the picture, and that's the let's say the innovation that we're bringing to the market.
Mhm. And when did it click? Like this can be measured?
That was a very good question because that was 2020, 2022 when we actually opened. Then at the end of that year, we opened WisePath. We created WisePath in the United States as a corporation in the United States. And the main thing was that we met a foundation, a research foundation in Barcelona that was experimenting since 5 years a couple of European funded research projects on how to use video games to measure soft skills. It was a early stage research. It needed to be brought down to the ground and made it let's say executable. But for us, when we saw that you could use video games in order to measure soft skill, that was the moment in which we clicked. Because we were trying to do the same for the previous 2 years, we were trying to do the same through surveys. But there are a lot of problems with surveys. They're not accurate. It's difficult. You cannot ask 200 questions to a 17-year-old, and hoping that they're going to give you an answer that is not subjective. So we knew we couldn't find that way to scale and be accurate until we found the possibility of the video games. And besides that, when we saw that you could use video games, well, that's like, it's one of the cultural pillar of the new generation. So we began having a tool that is ingrained in the culture of the new generations that could be used to provide value to the new generation. So that's when the moment clicked, and that's when we opened WisePath in the United States.
Mhm. You said something that flips the hiring logic. After 2022, it's less can you build and more can you communicate intent to the system that builds. And in your words, why do human skills become more important as generative AI gets better?
Well, it's because, like you said, um, we are moving from a uh, digital economy, a knowledge economy. That was the big work that was done in the early stages of the 20th, the 2000, meaning you needed to digitalize your knowledge, take it out of the head of the people that had this knowledge and put it into places where everybody could access that knowledge. But once you encoded the knowledge that way, you digitalized it, you still needed to interpret it. You still needed, like the example I make usually is that if I do a search on a Google page, the old Google, I would get a list of links and a list of white papers. I still have to read the white paper. I still have to interpret the white paper, understand the white paper to put that knowledge in action. After 2022, when ChatGPT came out, that work could be done by an artificial intelligence system. So now I move from a knowledge economy into a talent economy, meaning that it's not that important anymore to understand how you do differential equation because the system can explain it to you, and the system can even do it on its own if I explain them what they need to do. What is important is to find somebody that can interpret market condition, that can interpret external condition, and implement the right strategy at any level, software, hardware, marketing, sales, in order to answer properly to those challenges for the benefits of their job or their company. And
Mhm.
that has nothing to do with technology. That has nothing to do with technical skills. That's all soft skills. How do you listen? How do you interpret? Critical thinking, complex problem solving, the ability to communicate, the ability to, self-confidence, self-motivation. These are the skills that you need to actually be strong in order to interpret market condition and instruct an AI system to do the job, that the technical part that you do. So that's where the shift happened. So 2020 was the remote working. meaning, how do I begin understanding if the person is right for the job at a distance without really talking and personally with that person.
Hmm.
And then on 2022, when ChatGPT came out, from a knowledge economy to a talent economy. And that's where we are sitting right now on top of that revolution.
Hmm. One fast question. What are the three human skills you think become career leverage?
Well, the first one, absolutely critical thinking.
Hmm.
In the information avalanche that we receive every day, we have to be very, very good to understand what's true and what's false, or what's needed and what can you discard, because there's too much information. The
Hmm.
second, in my opinion, it's self-motivation. The more we are able to motivate ourselves to do our job, the more independent, the more autonomous, the more entrepreneurial we can be. Of
Hmm.
course, self-motivation goes hand in hand with well-being at work and with the ability of doing the job that I like. It's very difficult to motivate ourselves when we do a job we don't like. And the third one, in my opinion, it's creativity. Creativity is the biggest differentiator in an AI world, because while ChatGPT can absolutely give me a contract or write a report or analyze information, it's not able yet to decide the best strategy for my company. And it doesn't have that ability to intuitively understand a trend and understand an innovative way to answer to that trend. And that is going to be the job of human beings still.
Hmm. And where do companies misunderstood this shift today? What you see?
Well, it's an excellent question, Marco, because the issue we have right now is that there is a lot of pressure on the market, meaning the competition is really strong. Because of the advent of AI, also innovation begins to be like very hard. It's difficult to innovate at an LLM level unless you have billions of dollars of investment and you have already started. Basically, if everybody can write an application by just talking to an AI, you can imagine that it's going to be very difficult to invent a new application. Or
Yeah.
if you do, there's going to be a lot of people that does the same. So the market is very competitive at all levels. Prices are getting squeezed, so margins are getting low. The general economic situation, because of the war, because of the tariffs and everything else, it's becoming quite tough. So companies, what they do is that they focus on the essentials, meaning sales, revenue, profit, cutting costs. That's what they are focusing on. And while that it's of course a strategy that they have to implement, that's a very short-term strategy, because once you push for more sales in a very tough market and you cut costs, you need to also be prepared for the changes that are coming. You're not preparing yourself to answer those changes. You are becoming very, very efficient in doing what you always been doing. And the market instead is changing very rapidly. So you have to become very good at doing what are doing and very good at pivoting what you're doing into
Mm.
what you will do. That step has to be done with soft skills in mind. You cannot do that. So you cannot repurpose your workforce without understanding what is the talent that this workforce bring. And this is the difficulties that have companies right now. Like, how can you think about changing, transforming your company while you are under such a pressure on revenue? This, let's say, it's a huge problem for companies that are already in the market. But this is a fantastic opportunity for startups, because the startup can start from zero, from a blank slate, right? So if you start building your company based on soft skills from the beginning, oh man, you can be not only efficient in executing, you are also efficient in strategizing, and that is something that a big company cannot do. So it's a great time to open up a company and revolutionize the way that company is organized.
Yeah. At this moment, you said I can hire a philosopher as CTO. Walk me through that. What's the deeper principle?
That's one of the paradox, the very powerful paradox of these times. You know, before 2022, before ChatGPT, just to take a moment in time in which we can say the world changed, because you can do the same with Anthropic or with DeepSeek or any other big AI system. Before 2022, if I wanted to hire a CTO, just to make an example, or a legal person, I needed to hire a technician. I needed to hire a person that knows how to build software, that knows how to write software, how to deal with technology, how to manage technology. It needed to be a technical person for a CTO job, as much as it needed to be a lawyer for a legal environment. Now, after 2022, that's not more the case. I don't, the writing software, it's going to be done by artificial intelligence. Finding the right circuit board for a certain system will be done by an artificial intelligence system. What I need is a person that is very good at interpreting the needs of the company and instructing a very efficient system to create the technical part that answer to the challenge needs. So I need to find a communicator. I don't need to find a technician. And that's to stretch a little bit the allegory. I talk about, I can have a philosopher that it's my CTO, right? I can have a person degreed in communication to be my CTO. If they understand the technology world very well at the level of trends and communicate very well with the system, I can have a very innovative, efficient application being built by an AI system done by a CTO that has no knowledge of software whatsoever. That is a huge revolution both for the company and the employee, because now, as a philosopher, I don't have to just look into the humanistic part of jobs, right? I can begin in coming and sending my resume to technology companies. And on the other side, as a company, you think about how much it would cost a very good CTO that knows a lot about technology and how much it costs to hire a philosopher that has a very good understanding of technology. It's completely different, completely price. I can be very competitive versus spending little less money than what I would in another situation. So this is a revolution that will change dramatically the job market.
Mm. Yeah, yeah, very, very interesting. Uh, Everyone is talking about AI, but most people still don't have a concrete model for how it changes daily work and what skills become valuable. And WisePath is interesting because you're not just talking about AI, you're applying it to human skill measurement. Uh, when you look at real terms today, what are like top three ways AI is changing how people work week to week?
So you make a very good point. I would say that, let's say, like you said, AI is changing the way we work. The problem right now AI has and big AI companies, how you monetize that change. That's the difficulties that they have right now. But the AI enter into our professional lives in a very strong way. There's no doubt about it. I would say to top of my mind, the first three things that comes to mind to me are the first, as I told you, it's the ability to interpret knowledge, not just to give me knowledge. So the ability to have an answer that understand what I have to find, the answer to my question. Now, understand it, quoted understanding, because the machine does not understand actually what I'm saying, but it provides me an output in which it has value at an interpretation of the knowledge, not just as a communication of the knowledge that I'm looking for. That's the first one. The second one is the ability to speak natural language with this system. So I can now establish, language is relationship. And we never had a relationship with our mobile apps. Those are tools, the same as a screwdriver. I don't have a relationship with a screwdriver. But I have a relationship with a technician that uses a screwdriver because to the technician, I explain them what the problem is and they know how to use the screwdriver. This is exactly what is happening with AI. I establish now a relationship with this tool. And this relationship has a profound implication on the way I work in the office because besides establishing an emotional relationship with the system, which is one of the delicate implications of using AI when we go into the psychology space, right? And all the things that are happening around that space. But if we keep it into the more technical, professional aspects, I establish this relationship, which because I feel listened, I feel valued, and I can explain my problem in my own terms. I don't have to be technical, and the machine is always there, ready to help me. And that's the third part, which is that you don't only now have a technician, not a technology that is ready to listen to you. You have almost a person that is always ready to listen to you. Meaning, you can ask this question any time of the day. You can ask this question in 15 different ways. If you don't understand, you can ask the same question 1,000 times, and the AI system will find a different way to explain it to you so that you finally get it. If I would have to deal with a person, at the fifth time that I'm asking the same question, the person begins having a problem with me because they don't even know how to explain it in a different way. This is extremely powerful, exactly in establishing also the type of relationship. So what we are trying to convey to the market is that for the first time, we are not dealing with a technology. We are dealing with an entity. This is a psychological entity. Granted that it doesn't understand, it's not conscious yet. God knows if we will get to that point. But right now it isn't. So fine, that's okay. Yeah, it doesn't have a sense of self. I cannot ask them, what should I do with my wife if I have a problem regarding what we're gonna cook for the Christmas dinner, right? That's not for that purpose. But on the other side, it's not a technology. This is an entity. I establish a personal relationship with this thing, and this thing answers to me in a language that I understand. This is incredibly powerful. It's the first time that we find ourselves in this situation.
Uh, I'm thinking about power, the combination of human and AI, and the human leverage part. In the AI era, what becomes the new definition of a high performer?
Another excellent question, Marco. You really put some thought into this. I'm glad. It's so the you know it, we first need to understand that we're gonna go through a huge upheaval, meaning uh, we had other moments in the industrial era of our civilization in which technology deeply revolutionized the market so that a big chunk of the working population had to reinvent themselves because for instance when the car came and the
Yeah.
horses disappeared, when the electricity arrived and candle, and when the fridge arrived and ice seller had to change their job completely, the job just disappeared. Now we until now this was happening sector by sector, right? So let's say when the car came out, farmer didn't lose their job. When the marketing people didn't lose their job. The people that was running horses lost their job. Artificial intelligence is affecting every single sector at the same time. So we are not going to have a crisis in just one vertical sector. We're going to have it horizontally into the entire economy. So this is going to be an avalanche of people that find themselves without a job. Let's think about the engineers or drivers that are substituted by self-driving systems, right? All these things, all at once, all these people will get into the market. Now, the advantage, the good news about this avalanche is the fact that to find the next job now, you don't have to learn a new profession. You don't have to learn, if you knew how to ride a horse, you don't have to learn how to drive a car now. You just have to learn what is it that you really bring as a personal talent to solve a problem. That becomes your real asset, and you have that asset. The asset, we have already that asset. We develop that asset no matter what, even if we don't go to school at all. The problem is that we don't know what that is. We have no way to measure it. We have no way to present it to a company in a way that the company can analyze it and put it into their performance management or talent management system and make a decision. That's exactly what we are planning to do. We are planning to allow people to discover their personal talent and codify it in a way that it's measured accurately so that it can be presented in a new job interview or in a new career path in order to show that you do have that talent and how that talent impact the company on the other side. So as I said, if a philosopher remain without a job, now they can become a CTO. It expands the opportunity on the other side, provided they understand their talent. Now, once you have that talent in hand, that's where the power of the connection with AI begins. Once you do know what is your talent, how do you process information, what is it that you bring as a value add to solving a problem? That's the moment in which, when you couple that with AI, it's like, okay, now I have a Nobel Prize mind on anything in knowable in the market available to me to apply to my creativity. This is like enormously purposeful. This can be like innovation at a level that we never saw before. And this, yes, can be a job for millions of people. This can be really everybody can find their job again, but they need to shift completely the way they look for the job or they think about themselves. Because if you, as a lawyer, you keep looking for a legal entry job, well, that door is going to be closed. You have to really think in out of the box. You have to think in a different way.
Mm.
Hence, the point that we were making before about critical thinking, creativity, self-motivation. These are the entrepreneurial aspect of a person has to come out at all levels so that they can find the place where they can add value in an innovative way in the new job market.
Yeah, I'm thinking about that. That will bring to more satisfaction about the work people are doing because you need to ask yourself, oh, what I really want to do, what's my talent, what I'm good at. And you then combine that with the tools, like, I don't know, 5 tools that the person will use, and that will bring a lot of leverage of the person, more satisfaction because people will love to do that and the results will be, I mean, I want to say that people with those skills and knowledge will become valuable to the market, more valuable than that are today. I,
Correct.
I don't know if you agree on that.
Completely, Marco. It's exactly the, you see, every revolution brings a moment of upheaval in which it appears as if things are going worse than they were before. Because, of course, first you need to tear down a building before you build the new building on top. You cannot do that in the other way around. So
Mhm.
first we need to destroy the old concept of job before we can build the new one. But once we will begin building the new one, and we have all the elements to build it already, that's why I'm saying startups have a leg up competition wise respect to the rest of the market because they can start right now implementing the new paradigm. They don't have to destroy anything, right? They start from a blank slate. But once you begin implementing the new paradigm, well, that solves a bunch of problems. That doesn't solve only professional, competitive, revenue-related problem for the company. That solves well-being in the company, the improving the environment in which you work. If you are able to express your personal talent, it means that your way of being now it's monetizable. And
Mm.
how can that not bring more joy into doing the job you do? You wake up in the morning that you are looking forward to the opportunity to bring more of yourself into the company, and the company paying you exactly for the self you're bringing in the company, not for the stuff you know. So that is definitely something that, if we decide to have a more optimistic point of view on the world, that is definitely one of the advantages that are coming forward. And as you said, finally, we begin being valued for the person we are, not for the things we know. And because the things we know, as I learn them, you can learn them. But the person I am, you cannot be the person I am. You can only be the person you are. And that is naturally differentiable and naturally bringing value at some level in some place of the company. The things that you can do because of the personality you have, I cannot replicate them. I cannot bring that value into the company. I can bring value in the company in another place of the company where my personality is very helpful. And so we all gonna, it's like a Tetris. We are gonna fall into the right place, and that right place, it's right at many levels: personal, professional, technical, etc.
Can we talk a little bit how WisePath uses AI? Can you break down WisePath's AI in simple terms? Like what data do you collect from gameplay? What does the model infer? And what does the user actually get back?
That's it. Yes. We use AI in two ways, which is what AI is good for. Meaning, um, the methodology we use to measure soft skill based on the video games is a heuristic methodology, meaning there
Mhm.
is a psychology and pedagogy applied to analyzing the video games so that we can identify which action in the video game actually correspond to an expression of certain soft skills. That cannot be understood by an artificial intelligence system, or actually it could if you have enough data. But the problem in that case with an artificial intelligence system is that we want to also know why we are saying that a
Mm.
person doesn't have a soft skills. If I would have a machine learning system that tells me that, I don't know why. It tells me that it doesn't have it, but I don't know why. And if I don't know why, I cannot work to improve it, to train it, to make it better for the person to acquire that soft skill. So that's why we started from the heuristic method. That heuristic method has been implemented into an artificial intelligence system now, not because we want artificial intelligence to do the same calculation that the heuristic system does, because that would be redundant, but because what we want to do is that we want the artificial intelligence system to learn based on the feedback we receive. A
Mm.
heuristic method wouldn't be able to do that. It's static. Once you fix it in time, you need to do more research to change it if you want, but it stays fixed. What we
Mhm.
are using AI for is that by implementing it into an AI system, we now can gather the feedback of the people using it, of the coaches training, of the teacher that are teaching soft skills, and take that feedback and improve the heuristic model in a way that it's based on the actual needs of the market. That's one way that we use AI inside our solution. The other is to basically make it agentic. It's like I would like to do this work of learning soft skill through video games side by side with a tutor, with a mentor. And that's where we are integrating ChatGPT and Anthropic and everything else in order to have that personalized tutor. We train them, we give them the knowledge about soft skills that we have. And so we now have a coach, your personal coach that follows exactly your learning curve, your process to improve the soft skill you need. It can suggest you what sector you should go into because of your talent, or what role in a company you should apply for because of your personal talent. And of course, that's gets till a certain point. If at the end you want to work deeply on certain aspect of your professional personality, you can still then hire a coach and go one to one with an expert in a specific space. But at that point, you know exactly what you have to work on. You know exactly the soft skill that you need to. It's not going to be a generic, oh, I think I need leadership, and you do a leadership training just to find out that leadership is not really what you dig. It should be something else. And that's we get you to a point in which you know exactly how to improve the things you need in order to achieve your objective. And that it's in a certain way getting closer and closer to be able to have an ROI on training soft skills, on coaching, which is,
Mhm.
you know, a sort of a holy grail.
AI coaches are a hot topic right now. I'm talking with a lot of people about that. What do you think? What's the best AI plus human coach workflow will look like?
Well, look, I'll share a personal experience. In the first the data first. The most popular use of AI right now is for personal development.
Mhm.
And in many cases, the majority of the cases is personal psychological development. So people are asking questions about their, you know, their anxiety, their uncertainties, their doubts about themselves. Now that is a you know a dangerous place because those AI systems are not being built to give that kind of advice. Besides, they
Mm.
don't understand the question. They're just giving a statistical answer to that question. So it's very dangerous to take it for personal changes, right? But besides that, it still shows that it creates a relationship and people are valuing this relationship because it gives them some answer. So the personal case in this case is the fact that I was reading a book about professional development and you know the I had a question regarding some parts of the things that I was reading that I wanted the author to answer me. Like I would have liked to ask this question to the author of the book. So I went on
Ah,
ChatGPT and I told them, please, in the voice of this author, can you answer this question? Now, given it's not the author answering, the author could have given me a different answer to the question, but it's not even spitting out just a paragraph inside the book. It's the closest thing it gets to having the voice of the author answering my question. So this is an enormous value add with respect to a Google search and all the Google search
yeah.
and you know talking to the author. We found a gray area, a middle ground between two extremes that were uninteresting both on the side. I cannot talk to the author, and it's too superficial. The old Google search. I'm saying old Google search because now Google gives you a Gemini paragraph before for every search you do, which is in fact an improvement on the search engine. So the best workflow for a personal agent is, first of all, it's our job, WisePath job, to create a knowledge, a library of knowledge about soft skill that can allow to train an agent that can answer this type of question regarding soft skill. This is the job that we are doing. This is an integration that we are developing as we speak. The second part is you to train that same agent with all the professional, personal uh, desire you have or principle you follow so that that agent knows you very well. Now stay professional so that you are not sharing personal information that could be, let's say, present a problem with privacy and then with knowledge that you are sharing with the system. That's the problem with using the system for psychology, pure personal psychology. But from a professional level, if you tell them what salary you want, what kind of responsibility you would like to have in a company, what is it that gives you joy in solving a problem, and what part of the problem solving process you're interested in, that's all part of training that make that agent personalized for
Mhm.
exactly your topic. And then that the agent considered knows everything about everything else. So it's like, as a first level coach, is unmatchable. It's just such a help in finding your own career and your own path.
You compared games to a gym. I love that. A match
Mhm.
with hard skills. We have practice environments. With human skills, you learn in the office and mistakes cost you. Explain this digital gym idea like I'm a CEO hearing it for the first time. And I'm thinking why games are a safer training environment for human skills.
Well, I'll do it with an example that we usually use because we say, one of the things that we measure in WisePath is the how much experience are you making on a specific skill through a ranking and points that we assign to each soft skill. And when people ask us, yeah, but what does it mean, that measurement, that value of experience for a soft skill that you have? The example I make is the one of the flying time, the flying hours of a pilot, of an airplane pilot, right? An airplane pilot has a certain number of flying hours that they have keep track of, and it's part of the resume of the pilot, right? You can have 10,000, 100. Now, nobody, no CEO in their right mind would give to a person that study how to fly a plane from a book to give them the real plane driving. They would not, you would never go on that plane. Why? And of course, because to know something and put it in practice, it requires training. It requires practice. You can't know exactly how to answer to a turbulence if you don't feel the turbulence. Even if you learn that a certain type of turbulence should be answered in a certain way. So, why do we do that with human talent? Why do we take a person and put them to do a job without knowing what is it really that they know? And if they don't know it, why we keep them there? Why don't we train them on the same thing? And the point is, yeah, sure, but how can I train a leader before I put them in the leadership spots? Like how can I take a person and I put them to make the certain decisions. And of course, I'm running a huge risk if I don't know what decision they make. So the only way to put certain people in certain jobs is to have long experiences and curricula that prove that they are able to make these decisions. But this doesn't feed the needs of the market because you need leadership at all levels. You don't need leadership only in the CEO or the executive team. Yeah, sure. At that, you can go person by person, coach by coach. I can have a psychologist that comes and does a personal profile for yourself. But the part, how do I do that for the entire workforce and all my project manager in a company or team leaders in a company? I cannot do that. So, but it's critical. It's critical because they are making decisions every day, and maybe a lot of those people don't have the tools to make those decisions. So you need an environment in which you are free to make a decision. And even if you make a mistake, you have a chance to learn from that mistake and try it again. You need a gym. You need a practice. You need to strengthen your leadership muscles before you get into the real environment and not just by reading them on a book. So that's what a video game is. A video game is a place in which you can learn and test your behavior in a way that doesn't damage anything. Even if you get killed in a video game, you just turn a game, turn it on, another life, go on, try again. If you screw up an interview with a CEO for an executive job in a video game, doesn't it's not a big deal. Now that's more gamification than video games. But if you have a bad experience on Fortnite, you're not dying. You just learn something else. Next time you're gonna do it better. You're gonna do it different. That is exactly the gym that soft skill never had the chance to use, and the technical skill instead use on a regular basis. So that is the first time that through video games we can bring soft skill at the same level of technical skill. We can measure them, we can train them, we can have practice on it before you actually get into the job and put in practice what you learn during your training classes.
What surprises you most when you see the data?
The thing that surprises me the most is how little do we know about ourselves. And I'm talking for personal experience. I had that experience the first time that I used the WisePath platform when we were working on it a few years ago. I sat down, I did a video game, And I thought that I had certain skills because of the experience I have. I consider that I'm over 50, man. I have 30 years of experience in working. So in a certain sense, I do know what is the best way for me to bring value at a personal level into a company. Yet, despite the experience, I still thought that I had certain skills that I didn't have. And when I looked why I didn't have those skills, I actually realized that that's true. That I have to improve in certain aspect of my professional personality to be better at those things. And the example in my case was cognitive flexibility. I thought that because I worked many years in international environments, I traveled the world, I worked with teams that had all kinds of cultures and dealt with deals in the entire world in many different cultures, that I had a certain flexibility, but not exactly what cognitive flexibility is, which is the ability to use somebody else's way of thinking to make a decision that make me understand how you would make that decision. For me, it's very difficult to get out of my mind. And I realize
Mm.
that in the job we do, it's very important that we are able to put ourselves into somebody else's shoes when we try to analyze what the problem may be with a certain strategy for a customer or a certain environment in the customer. So that's the thing that still amazes me, that no matter how many years of experience you have, once you begin playing the video game and have an independent analysis, objective and accurate on your soft skill levels, new information comes out that you never expected. And when you go dig into there, you realize that it's actually true.
Mm. Uh, you told me someone can be a team player in one culture and not in another, so measurement must adapt to context. How do you think about soft skills as context dependent, and what does that mean for hiring and internal mobility?
Absolutely. The example I usually make is, to the leadership you require from a prime minister is different than the leadership you require from a project manager. It's two very important type of leadership. And if you put a prime minister, it's not just a question of ranking, because if you put a prime minister to be a project manager, it could be a disaster. Same way if I put a project manager becoming a prime minister. So this means that it's not a tool that grows, in a vertical way. And if you get
Mm.
it to a certain level, you just can do all the leadership work behind. This means that there are different colors of leadership, all independent one from the other, that are better suited to do certain jobs, to answer to certain challenges. So how do you deal with that? In WisePath, what we do is that we measure 16 soft skills in WisePath. And
Mm-hmm.
these 16 soft skills are the building blocks of professional personality. By combining these building blocks together, we are able to create what we call meta skills, meaning I take leadership from my prime minister, and I say, okay, a prime minister should have a lot of self-confidence, a lot of discipline. It should have a lot of critical thinking, complex problem solving, great communicator, etc., etc., etc. This is how I described, using the building blocks, that type of leadership. Now, a project manager has to be a great communicator, has to lots of discipline, but maybe needs to doesn't have to have that much judgment and decision making skills, because they just have to make sure that the team execute the proper stuff in the right way. That's it, is how we use the 16 soft skill to describe that type of leadership that we want. And now here we are, that we have two independent definition of leadership that through the system we are able to measure. Now, this is extremely important, as I said, because in companies, situation changes. Now, I made the example of the prime minister and the project manager. It's very difficult that a project manager will decide all of a sudden to become a prime minister. But if you are talking about a company, let's say, let's take the example going in the past of Nokia, right? Nokia at some point decided to stop making rubber boots, and decided to make mobile phones. Now,
Mhm.
the leadership they needed to make rubber boots was completely different than the leadership they needed for mobile games. How do you make that change quickly? They did that change back in the 80s when the changing rate, the rate of changes was very slow, and it gave them the time to change the management so that they could build a new model. But now, and they probably took a few years to make that change happen. Now you have to make that change in a matter of week. How do you do that? You need to have a different way of identifying what you need and train it on the people you already have, because you can't hire your entire management system and substitute it in a matter of months and keep the company working and generating revenue like if nothing happened. It's like you cannot change a piston of an engine while you're driving the car. But that's what the job market and the current market condition are more and more asking from us, that we begin changing critical pieces of the company while the company is going. That's where we need to find a way to measure this talent. And those are to train these skills in a way that scale easily, can be done all the time, and allows for you to change those pieces while running without affecting too much and disrupting too much the business.
If someone listening is a leader or coach, what's one thing they can do this month to start treating human skills as measurable and trainable?
In my opinion, is measure themselves first.
Mhm.
It's the people that coaches that don't know what they are really good at coaching. It's a, they may go through, I mean, for psychologists, therapists, they have to go through psychology therapy themselves in order to be able to give therapy to other people. In my opinion, coaches should do the same. They should be understanding what their talent is so that they understand what they are good at coaching. So the first thing is to experience yourself directly, what it means to play a video game and get your soft skill
Mhm.
measure, because you will realize, first of all, how much a video game can really extract from your behavioral data. And on the other side, you will realize how much little you knew about your personal talent. Now you can reassess the way you help people developing their skills using a completely different paradigm that is accurate and objective.
Mm. And for individuals, what's the fastest way to stop guessing your strengths and start understanding your actual human skill profile?
It's a get on skill quest, our platform for measuring soft skills. It's very easy. You play a video game and you begin getting information. Now, as an individual, you still don't know what should be the right soft skill for you to do a certain job. You need to be guided in that respect. And right now we do that for companies and schools at a B2B level. We don't do it yet for a B2C. It will come for a B2C as well. And that's the point about the personal coach in AI, an agentic personal coach that we are building as we speak. But to become seeing your human talent mapped so that you get an early understanding of what are you strong at and what you are less strong at, it's an enormous amount of information that can help you beginning thinking and being aware of the talent you have and how to answer challenges, knowing that you have certain tools that you're very good at and certain tools that you're not very good at. Knowing what you're not good at and knowing what you are good at, it's already a very powerful place to be. And you can get that by just playing few hours on video games through our WisePath solution. That's definitely the first step I would suggest to everybody. Know yourself. Then we can work on top of that.
Gianluca, this was a masterclass on why soft skills are core skills and why games might be the most scalable way to train them. Where should people go to learn more about WisePath and SkillQuest?
Come to our website. All the information are there. You come to wisepath.ai and you will be able to see what we do. There are 2 pages dedicated to the 2 sectors we work in, the education and enterprise sectors, to give you a better idea of what are the benefits that you can get from working on this. But also you will find a link to access for free our platform and begin measuring your own soft skill and getting acquainted with the solution, and all the contacts you need in case you want to, as a company or a school, you want to get in touch with us and install this solution inside the procedure the company or the school use to measure soft skills.
Gianluca, thank you for being here on the Coach Approach podcast.
Marco, thank you very much for the conversation. I enjoyed it very much, and I thank you again for having me here on the podcast.
Elevate yourself. Empower others. Welcome to Coach Approach podcast.